Hi everyone, and welcome to our interview series here on the Toolroom Academy YouTube channel, bringing you guys some of the biggest artists in the world right now. And joining us live here at Toolroom HQ is the one and only Friend Within. Thank you very much for joining us, mate.
Hello, good to be
Excellent.
here.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a real pleasure. It's an honour. Latest track, Pilka, is smashing it out now on Toolroom as well.
Yeah, very happy with the way that's going.
It's doing really well, mate. Absolutely love it. Love the vibes. But we wanted to get you here to just delve in a little bit, dig a bit, find out a little bit more about Friend Within, about the artist. So let's dive
Yeah,
straight in, shall we? Let's dive right in. Let's go back to the very beginning. All right. Where did it actually all start for you, music production wise? Like I think if we go right back to kind of even the early influences, or what was the first entrance for you into music production? Can you remember what was your first computer? What was the first bit of software
hmm
you used?
yeah. I reckon I must have been about 11 or something. I had a Commodore Amiga and a
Oh my
program.
God.
I think there was a few. There's one called Sound Tracker, I think it was. So like an
Wow.
old like tracker software.
Yeah.
They're kind of coming back a little bit now, sort of tracker software. Um, there's a little piece of kit now, the Polyend tracker,
Okay.
little sequencer thing, and it's on the same principle.
What sort of
Very
making the approach more simplified?
it's and you basically had like four tracks on your screen, and you basically plonk samples in, and you press play, and it just play the samples as it went. It's a very sort of basic sort of
Yeah.
timeline,
Yeah.
and there was little like hexadecimal commands you could put like next to when the sample played to make like you change the speed of it, or like you could automate volume changes
Wow.
that way. Really basic, and like maybe like reverse it. And I basically had like the Commodore Amiga, some floppy disks that my cousin had given me with all like
Yeah.
rave samples, so some like old like Amen Break on there, and some stabs, some
Amazing.
like 909 hits, and like
Amazing.
it said like I remember some of the samples would say like 808 kick, 808 hat, and like I never knew what 808 meant. I always thought it was like 808 state, like
Oh yeah.
the
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 actual
artist.
yeah,
I
the
thought, oh,
artist.
they must have created these.
Oh my
So it's
God.
really, so really, really
I
young.
mean, you were super young as well. Like
Yeah,
11 getting into it. That's
yeah.
wicked.
And yeah, I used to love it. Every Saturday morning, I wake up and just basically just create the same tune over and over again.
Amazing. Was it an Amiga? I had an Amiga 500.
Yeah,
Is that
I
what
had
it
a
was?
500, and then later got a 1200,
Wow.
which was
That's
a
when they
little
went
bit
up a
better.
bit.
Yeah, and
I
then
think there
from
was even
there,
was it
went.
a 1 meg upgrade you could buy for them as well?
I think the 1200 had 1 meg. I think the 500 it
Amazing.
maybe had. Did it have half a meg to begin
Oh
with,
my
and then you
God.
could then I had the one, or maybe it had a quarter of a meg, and you could upgrade
That's
to half a
amazing.
meg.
So you were hooked at that point. You were in.
Yeah, but I mean, I wasn't like constantly doing it from then until now. It was only when like we got like a family PC. I mean, this is probably like when I was about 17, and it still had the same software. But obviously, it was called something called Octamed back then, but it was basically the same thing. Maybe you had like 8 tracks
Yeah.
then. And then you get like floppy disks on the front of like computer music with samples on
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and then that went in. I got a copy of Reason,
Oh, okay.
basically, yeah,
I was going to
and that
ask
was
what
the
was the
one.
sort of next stage that sort of
Yeah,
pulled you up in the more advanced state, I suppose,
yeah.
when you got
'Cause
into
I
that.
had no idea about like hardware equipment. Not a clue. And then when computers were good enough that you
Yeah.
had the software to be able to do it, yeah, I got a copy of Reason, and yeah, I just never stopped using it. I just
And so where did you
hours and
go
hours.
from Reason? So you right now you use Ableton?
Yeah, yeah. So I got started hearing about Ableton because with Reason, and at the time you couldn't use any like audio. Everything had to be like in a sampler if you wanted to play
Okay.
any audio, any vocals or something. You had to put it in sampler. So there was no such thing as like the timeline with a whole like wave file on there. Then got a copy of Ableton,
So
and
did you stick with Reason for a long time
yeah,
before you went to Ableton?
yeah. So I had loads of tunes signed that was just Reason.
Oh, okay, amazing.
Yeah, quite a lot. And then would rewire Reason into Ableton. So I was using them both. but then like my computer wasn't really fast enough to
To handle
be able
it,
to
yeah.
do both. So I just started using Ableton
Okay.
after
I
that.
think quite a lot of people when they first switch over to Ableton do that, like rewired.
Yeah.
I remember a few people that were like Logic users that then tried Ableton would rewire it in. I heard that a little bit.
But I use Reason still a bit now. Now you can use it as a plugin.
Oh, okay,
I
well,
do, yeah. I do use it still. Still up
Ableton's
to
sort of
date.
your go-to now that
Yeah.
you love using.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But
Amazing.
there's some great sounds in Reason. There's like so many synths in there. It's really worth checking out if you get a chance. So yeah, there's loads
I've
of
never
stuff
really
in there.
played with it. I'll have to have a look at it. Yeah, I was always Cubase, Logic, Ableton. Sort of
But the
those are the
reason I
ones I've always
started
dabbled with.
using the reason I started using Reason because I had like Cubase just kept crashing. The dodgy copy that I had just kept
Ah,
crashing. And
okay.
then Reason basically never crashed.
Oh,
It was like the
there you
cracked
go.
version.
It
And I
works.
said to myself, when I have a record release, I will buy the full version. Of course, I bought it when it was released.
Amazing. I love that. That's a goal. That's a goal. It's a set right there.
Yeah.
So, like, in terms of what's influenced you as an artist, as a producer, would you say, like, musically, it's something to do with your upbringing, or was there like a particular era or genre trend, like right all over the years, right going right back, that's really influenced you, that really pulled you into electronic music?
Ooh, probably not a particular genre, really. I mean, I still think now my sound does sort of still develop as I'm going. Like, some I can make a disco track. I mean, I remember going through my dad's disco collection like loads of times and getting samples from there. So I had a
Oh,
period of
wicked.
like disco stuff.
What he had disco collection on
Yeah,
vinyl. You used to just
yeah,
rip
yeah,
through.
yeah. He's got a great vinyl collection,
Oh,
and I'd go
amazing.
through that. It's funny. Like I'd bring back a record that I just bought, and this would have been sort of late 90s, early 2000s, but like big sort of filtered disco house.
Yeah,
And I'd
yeah, yeah.
play it on my stereo upstairs. And he was like, I've got the original of that. And he'd go away for like a minute, come back with the record,
Oh,
and then I
wow.
put it on. I remember we did that with
That's like you got like your own personal
yeah.
whosampled.com.
Oh, it was incredible the amount of times he did it. And the
That's
one that blew
wicked.
me mind the most, the harder, better, faster, stronger, Daft Punk.
Wow.
He was like, yeah, I've got that. Cola Bottle Baby by Edward Birdsong. And he goes and gets it, puts it on, and it's the exact same track.
Wow.
Go and listen to that track, and then listen to. It's just the beginning of Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger.
So many of those records though from that era, it was just about finding and
Mm,
landing on the killer sample, wasn't it?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what it was.
and
So actually the disco stuff has influenced you then
yeah,
in those early stages.
yeah, definitely. I'd love to go through his collection again because I think with the disco stuff, the parts that people sample now is different from the parts
Yeah.
that they sampled 20 years ago. It does change a bit now. I mean, a lot of tracks now are just sort of edits, aren't they?
Yeah.
Think of like LF System, Afraid to Feel. There's a lot of the original track
Yeah.
that they've used, whereas you'd sample like 2 bars because you
Yeah.
only had a sampler that had about 5 seconds of sampling time. So
Yeah.
that's all you could do. So that's what,
That actually dictated what was used,
yeah.
dictated the sound that developed as well.
Mm.
Can you not get access to your dad's vinyl
Yeah,
collection?
yeah. Yeah, I
Do
could
it,
get it
man.
back, mate.
Do
Yeah.
it. Have
I
a couple of
even,
days off and just sit there going through
yeah,
the
I
vinyl.
even go through my own for, I mean, maybe every couple of years, maybe I'll
Yeah.
go through a different section and go through it. And I remember I went through like the hard house section I
Yeah.
had, and there's some great like drums in there,
Yeah.
like the 909. And
It's a sound that's really coming through
yeah,
now, isn't it? So many producers now have gone sort of the real 90s, what I used to call like the handbag house
yeah, yeah, yeah,
guys.
yeah,
But now we've gone a bit harder, like where the 90s hard house was going with a lot of the sounds, haven't we? A lot
yeah,
of the Hoovers and synths and stuff are coming back.
yeah.
It's great. Was that your era? Was that an era that you really like enjoyed house music in the
Yeah.
90s as well?
I mean, sort of late in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, I got my decks in 97, I think. I mean, Judge Jules was probably the
Yeah.
one who, as a sort of an influence in the very early years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to answer your original question, it was probably Judge Jules, like whatever he played, like for
Yeah.
the trance stuff, and he would play like funky house stuff as well.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Do you know
anything he
what? I had
played.
this conversation recently. I feel like we're coming full swing a bit. That era, the late 90s, when like Judge Jules, his show on Radio
Mm,
1, it was so varied. it had a similar thread. It was always quite tough and pumping and partyish, but he'd be playing funky-ish house right through to tough
Mm.
stuff, almost sometimes sort of a more commercial, trancey edge of techno. And I
Yeah,
feel like we're getting to that space again now, where we're being less separated and tribal of like, oh no, we're only that genre, only that genre. We're seeing
definitely.
artists and the special radio shows playing a bit more variety again, which is
Yeah,
cool.
even like live, I don't think DJs are as pigeonholed now,
Yeah.
really. I mean, saw like John Summit playing like drum and bass,
Yeah.
drum and set
Dropping it right in the
recently,
middle of
and
the
like
set.
dubstep, and
Yeah. Which is
think,
cool, right? I think it's
yeah,
brilliant to see people feeling a bit more free now. Yeah,
yeah.
it's wicked. So with producing, like how do you approach a track? Do you like just sit down and think, well, I've got some time,
Mm.
sit in the studio, jam, see what happens? Or is it like I've got limited time, I've got an idea, I've got a reference track or a sample you've landed on that you've been saving? What's your go-to? Or is it different every time?
Yeah, it's kind of different, really. I'd very really, well, I'd probably never go in and have an idea that I've thought of in
Okay.
my head. It's just I literally have like a blank page and think like, where do I go from here?
And see what happens creatively, see what flows.
Yeah, I had a little spell recently of I don't know if anyone knows the TrackLib. It's a bit
Yeah.
like Splice, where you
Yeah.
get there's whole tracks you can sample. I've had a bit of maybe a month or so of going through there and then making tracks with them.
But
And
that's
then
quite a
with
bit of prep time, spending
mm,
a lot of time on somewhere like Tratlib and
yeah,
listening to see what you're going to find, what jumps out. That is rather than just sort of picking any old sample. There's, I suppose, a lot you can take from your approach of that. If you
mm,
just, through that, and you spend a month listening, but that is like quite dedicated to trying to find something that's a gem, that's got something in
yeah,
it.
yeah. And then with when I made like monkey bars and bring it down, I really wanted to use that like organ sound.
Yeah.
That was I'd
So you
heard
had
that in
that in your
other
head before you'd
yeah,
started
I did with
those.
that
It was
one.
that sort of style track.
Yeah, and that goes back to like the sort of early 2000s
Yeah.
stuff, like DJ Jean, the launch, and like club heads and thought. I mean, I did a few tracks with like a donk in it. I
Yeah.
just wanted to do something like that, and that was using some like the hard house samples that I'd taken
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
my record collection. I think I probably look back for inspiration probably quite a lot recently. I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, it's been massive for a while, isn't it? Like the '90s house, and then
Yeah.
the tempos are getting faster, a bit more like hard house.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like I don't know, but have we got to a point where it's like everything's been done
we're
genre wise?
sampling.
So we're just going to keep sort of going over the last
Yeah,
30 years, but different stages of it?
we're sampling house records now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Whereas it was you'd sample a disco record
Yeah.
to make a house track. We're sampling the early house, or even not that old house
Yeah.
tracks. It's funny. I mean, I don't know whether that'll keep going.
It's so interesting though, isn't it? Because house music spans so many different generations. So you've
Yeah.
got younger generations that have never heard some of these samples that were
Hmm.
huge tracks in the 90s, even the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And you've got generations that never heard that. So to them, that's a totally new record.
Yeah. Well, it's 40 years old, isn't it? House
Yeah.
music now. So 16-year-olds, they're gonna hear something from you know 10 years ago
Yeah.
that they've never heard. I think, wow,
I think
yeah,
it's
but it's
amazing. We just keep going round and
yeah,
sampling different genres. I wonder what's next.
yeah.
We're definitely moving into that hard house phase, but I wonder what's coming next.
Mm,
So, like when you're producing, if sometimes you say you sit down, sometimes without even a plan, you must have days where it's just like it's not happening.
hmm.
It's not
All the
happening.
time.
The thing is, right, and I think there's a thing with producers that are aspiring producers, whatever word you want to use, bedroom producers. I think sometimes when they look at prolific artists, successful artists, they just see the success and think like, will I ever get to that? But everyone's the same, right? All
Mm,
producers, artists are the same. You're having days where you sit down and it's just not going to happen.
yeah.
Or you might write something and then when you listen back to it, you're just like,
It's the listening back, really. You think I'll usually make something by the end of the day that I'm happy with, but it's the next day when you
yeah.
think, oh, that was just toilet, that was.
So
But
would
it
you
still
say it's
happens.
quite a lot that you make and write and then just walk away from?
I do. I think I'm quite good at finishing stuff, like to a certain point.
Yeah.
I don't abandon a lot, or I might work on something for a really short amount of time and think that's not going anywhere.
And just realize it's not got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe revisit it. But I'll often finish stuff. You've probably heard most of it here. You get sent it all,
Yeah. So
but yeah,
what
not all
about
of it gets released.
what's your thing if it's like not happening? Like if you've got well, writer's block or that
Mm.
creativity is just not happening, do you just accept it, walk away? Have you got any tips that you can share that you do that help you?
I just keep going, really. I don't get down about it or anything.
Yeah.
I think right now I'm not. If I was to open up like a blank slate now, I'm not quite sure what to make at the moment. Um, I'd
So do you
made
feel
like
you
the.
wouldn't go in when you're feeling like that? Do you
I
actually
would,
understand? Do you
because
still
because
go
something
in?
would because something would happen.
Yeah.
Like you've got to be there for something to happen. I
Yeah.
wouldn't. I'm not just going to wait for inspiration. And my
Okay.
inspiration comes when I'm sat there.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not going to come any other time. Um, so you just keep doing it until something sounds good. And I guess the more you do it, you're more what sounds good, and you're more
Yeah.
critical of things. So you know what sounds good or not.
Yeah. Of course.
So you just got to keep going,
Yeah. Of
keep
course.
keep going with it, keep plodding on, and you'll get somewhere. I mean, I spend 9 to 5 every day doing it, so I've got the luxury of time to
Yeah.
keep going back and doing it. If you're trying to get into it, you only have little windows of opportunity. So if that doesn't go well, and you've only got like Tuesday night every week,
Yeah.
I guess you could get more down about it. For me, I just get back in there, get
That's
get,
when it
get
can
back
be
on the
tough,
horse.
can't it? Yeah, I suppose when a lot of aspiring producers are juggling
Yeah,
another 9 to 5 job and they've got a
yeah.
certain amount of time, it can feel like pressure, I
Yeah, but
suppose, as
I
well.
did that for a period of working in record shops, but I just wanted to get home and make music. I'd spend 8 hours in the record shop, spend another 7 hours at home in my
Just doing it.
bedroom. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah. But that's
And
what it takes.
yeah,
You can't deny it, isn't it? It is like it's that the desire to want to do it, but actually like just keep going. You keep going and keep
yeah,
going. You
yeah.
cannot stop. If you really want it, you've got to put the time in, haven't you? The
hmm
effort. So for you, like at your career, what would you say if you look back at it now? When was there like a real noticeable turning point when it started to feel like, okay, this could work. This can actually be a career, or
Mm.
when you really noticed a certain rise? Was there a particular thing that you can think back to?
It was very gradual. I think when started doing stuff under Friend Within, 'cause I
Yeah,
used to do stuff under my real name and did that for quite a long time, but that was sort of a very I didn't get as big as I became as Friend Within,
yeah,
and it was just very gradual. I'd be working in a record shop, release some tracks, get gig around the UK a bit.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, when I started Friend Within, the Renegade like was really popping off.
That one
That
record,
was,
you noticed a big,
but then I probably it's only thinking back to then that I
yeah,
thought God, I was pretty big back then.
yeah,
um, I'm still going now, but I don't think I realized at the time just how and it's being like a new artist and you're on the rise.
yeah,
Um, that's a great place to be. I think everyone's looking out for something
yeah,
new, aren't they? You're playing all these festivals,
totally.
um,
And
but then trying to maintain
you
it.
touched on like as well, releasing music under your real name,
Mm,
and then a whole new name, a whole new alias. That just shows longevity and how long it can take for certain things to connect at certain
yeah,
levels.
but that was a
I mean,
big turning point.
was that a scary thing as well to be like,
Yeah.
I'm going to rebrand, I'm going to do a new name, I'm going to
hmm
start again in terms of building an artist profile.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was because I hadn't really made any other. It was still house music I was making.
Yeah,
Um, and I was making like electro house, and then it's a similar story to like Shadow Child, really. He changed.
yeah.
He was Dave Spoon, and kind of fell out of love with that sort of genre, and I was in the same sort of genre.
And sometimes it can be when those genres are changing, times are
Yeah.
changing, trends are changing, the sound you were doing falls out of
hmm
being on trend, and then it's a bit like, where do I go?
Yeah.
What do I
But
do?
like influenced by like Disclosure and Eat Everything. I mean that sort of time around 2010, 11, 12. I mean that was a great time for like the house music was kind of getting bigger and
Yeah,
the sound was changing a bit, and I remember like because I thought I'll keep both of these A-listers going. I remember one day sitting down and I was like, right, I'm going to make a Lee Mortimer track.
yeah,
And I sat there and I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to make a Friend Within track. And that was like, this is it now. But it was scary because I'd only ever made the kind of music that
Yeah.
I'd made before.
And you'd had
But
traction as that. So to suddenly go, I'm going to leave that fully is quite
yeah,
a scary thing to do.
but then sometimes having those, doing something totally fresh,
Yeah.
you come with like new idea. And it felt like every day I was making a tune that I was so happy with. And they were like, I'd send them to labels and they were just getting signed like immediately. It was not like that period. And again, I look back at that and wonder, how the hell did I make them tracks? It's just the innocence of it. But it was scary thinking, yeah, am I going to be able to do it?
Yeah.
What else? What else have I got?
Yeah.
This is all I've got. It's got to work.
But sticking to it,
Yeah.
and with that attitude, this is all I've got.
Yeah.
That's been probably real key for you.
Mm-hmm.
Just never giving up. Have you ever received like advice from other people in the industry, other producers, something that you've remembered? You know, that sort of classic line you sometimes get, oh, I'll never forget when someone said that to me. Has that ever happened to you?
No, I can't think of any times it really has.
It's been one of those sort of learning as you go, learning
Yeah.
on the spot.
Yeah. I've always made music on my own, really. I mean, that's one thing. It would have been nice, being around, like if you've got in like a studio complex and there's other producers around, you kind of bounce off each other. I've always been quite solitary in that sense. And my studio's always been at home.
Yeah.
But I do
Perhaps
quite
that's
like it.
what works for you.
I
though,
do
as
quite
well.
like it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might find you could try that and put yourself in that situation. It just doesn't
Yeah.
work for you creatively, but
Yeah, and I do get a bit anxious if I was at a studio session with someone else.
yeah.
It's nerve-wracking for me. It's never, however good or to what level you get to, that it's still
That's
it's still
interesting, that,
nerve-wracking.
isn't it? Collaborations.
Yeah.
Sometimes artists meet and collaborate, and I've been there and I've been on sessions with artists and stuff that we've managed at Toolroom, and it doesn't happen. Sometimes it doesn't actually gel and doesn't work, and it's not always a guaranteed thing, is it? When you collaborate with someone else, that it's going to work.
I've probably done more that haven't come to anything than have, like, a track's been signed
Yeah.
and released. Probably done way more. But you can have fun doing it.
Yeah.
It can
It's an interesting
still be
thing,
fun
isn't
doing it.
It's a really interesting thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your social media briefly, right? Because you've got a really distinctive tone and voice on your social media. It's brilliant what you're doing now. Tell us a bit more about like what works for you on social media and sort of how that come together. Was it quite organic what you do, especially like a lot of your posts now with your alias, which is brilliant. It's a lot of fun. You know, was that an organic thing, or was it something that came to you like an idea?
I think I just get turned off by another video of a DJ
Yeah,
playing at a big festival. The camera shot behind.
yeah,
I just because I'm in the industry and I'm just sick of seeing that kind of stuff. So
fair play.
I don't know where the idea came from exactly, but I just thought, well, let's just have a bit of fun with something. And I'm comfortable doing that.
Yeah,
That's you have to have some kind of online presence.
Yeah.
What could I be good at? What would I be comfortable doing? I can just do it myself.
yeah,
I'm not going to pay someone else to come
Yeah.
and film me DJing or something. And that's just where it came from, really. And now I'm having fun with it.
yeah.
And I get so many people commenting on it.
Totally.
If I meet someone at a gig, they're like, "Oh yeah, I really like your posts."
Yeah,
It's just really
It's
positive.
unique. It's a unique voice within,
Yeah,
like you say, of what a lot of people sometimes even feel pressured to post in. I think a lot of artists think, well, I've got to do that.
yeah,
I've got to get that type of post at the gig. I've got to get that type of post about my record.
yeah.
And you do it a different way. I mean, I loved your first one on Pilka, on holiday, rubbish Wi-Fi. Here's the pack shot.
Yeah.
But there's humour in that,
Yeah.
honesty and a tone. It's like
Yeah.
it works.
I did actually, with the sort of alias thing, I did actually see. I just kind of popped up on my Instagram. There was some like American, it's like a guitarist or something, and he basically does videos like that where he plays every part. And that was sort of where the idea came from.
Amazing.
And just a little sketch like that. I thought, I could do something like that. I'll play all the parts and film it and write something stupid.
Amazing.
And
I love it.
just sort of caught on.
I
And
love
like even yesterday, like my son said, "Can we watch all your videos again?"
Oh,
So we just like
brilliant.
watched them all in a row.
Oh, brilliant.
And
He
then
loves them.
some of the earlier ones, he's like, "Yeah, they're not as good, these ones, are they?"
How old is he?
9.
Wow. He's critiquing already.
But I was like, yeah, you're right.
He's got A&R in his blood. He has.
Mm. The new
Love
ones
it.
are a lot
Does
snappier.
does he like house music? Is he into it?
Loves it.
Brilliant.
We're making a track together.
Brilliant.
And it's like, should we make some banging techno? He's like, yeah.
Oh, that is
And we
amazing.
even so we'll usually start with drums, and we both like the same sounds. We'll be flicking through kick drums, and he's like, "That's it," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's it."
Oh, that's
It's weird,
amazing.
like we
That's
gravitate
amazing.
towards the same sounds.
That's
It's nuts.
amazing. He's gonna
We've
need
got,
an alias, an alter ego name now.
he's asking
As an
about doing
artist.
some stupid videos as well.
Oh my god, that would be
Yeah,
brilliant.
and he might play like the young friend within.
All right, lad. Yes.
He can't do the Scouse accent though,
Oh,
sadly.
oh no
No.
way. Has he not
Well,
got?
we live in Oxford, so
He's
he's
got.
born and bred in
Has he
Oxford.
not got a bit of it from you?
Well,
Tiny bit.
I'll teach him. I'll
Yeah.
learn him.
Go have it. Oh, brilliant. So, like, what would be a typical day in the life of Friend Within? Tell us how a day looks like. Like, because you're saying your studio's at home.
Yeah.
You've obviously got a family life as well. You know, how do you balance that? Do you sort of literally give yourself a working day in the studio?
Yeah. So yeah, take my son to school. It's just around the corner, and then yeah, get back straight in the studio, and then till three o'clock do the school run. So
Yeah.
you've got like there's a short window of time to
Yeah.
sort of be creative. There you go.
Force
Which
yourself
is
to
tough.
be creative.
Yeah, it's
But you
but
are
I like
treating
that.
it. You're giving yourself a little bit of pressure there and treating it that
Mm,
that is a job. You're making
yeah,
sure that time is there rather than just I'll go and do this today. I'll do that
yeah.
today.
There'll be some. I don't do it often, but I will get back in there of an evening, put the headphones on, and yeah, sometimes yeah, something different will happen at that point. But then
Yeah.
I've taught myself don't go in with headphones on and start doing like mix downs because it's just pointless. Like with the headphones on, you just got to do sort of more creative
Just more creative.
things.
Yeah.
But yeah, do it. Yeah, 9 till 3. He does after school club on a Thursday, so it's 9 till 5, and that makes such a big difference having
Getting
that
that little bit
extra.
extra time.
And by the time I've had my lunch,
Yeah.
and then like 3 o'clock comes around so
My
quick,
wife says the same thing.
so hard.
Yeah, she's an illustrator, very creative role, and it's the
Mm.
exact same thing. To get home, sort the house out, get stuck into work, and then before you know it, you've got to stop for kids. It's
Yeah,
quite a balance, isn't it?
yeah, it's tough. It's tough being having little pockets of inspiration. I think
Yeah,
especially with, I mean, music's all I know, I suppose, but trying to be creative with music,
yeah,
yeah, and in a 10-minute window, and then another 5 minutes, then the doorbell's going. My
yeah.
wife's bought more shoes, and you got like,
or more Amazon deliveries
yeah,
coming in
exactly,
constantly.
yeah.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. A tough question. I ask this for everyone. It can be quite a big question, but like, have you got particular advice that you've learned over the years that you would pass on to aspiring producers now?
Hmm.
Whether it's like work ethic, any sort of specific production advice, things that you've learned over the years or realized after many years of
Mm.
whilst working in a particular program or your style of production.
I think just get to know the monitors you're using. Like you've got your room, just learn how that sounds. In terms of a sort of production thing,
Yeah, yeah.
listen, like especially if you're starting out, listen to other tracks in there. That's
So
big. Just
really
know
get to know
what.
your speakers.
Yeah, I mean, I've got this. My room doesn't sound great. I mean, what I swear by, and don't think I could live without it now, is the Sonar Works
Oh,
reference
okay.
thing.
Yeah,
So you get like a microphone that measures. You take readings
yeah.
in your room. You move the microphone around, and it basically creates this EQ curve, and then sort of
Adjust
it
your
does.
speakers to setting of your room.
Yeah, essentially. So it does work for little rooms because you've basically got your one listening spot, and
Yeah,
that's where I'll be. And when you move away from there, things go a bit weird. But as long as you're in that spot,
yeah.
and it just gives you a sort of flat sort of reference.
A
So
lot cheaper
that's
than
where by
like
that.
a professionally soundproofed and engineered
I've
room.
still got I've got like acoustic treatment, like these panels that
Yeah.
might see dotted around, and they help with sort of reverb. Um, but in terms of things, yeah, you get
So
like
Sonar
bass
works.
build up. Yeah, that's a thing that I do swear by.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And
and
what
that's on
about
a
like
very production
in
level.
terms of like trying to get into the industry and trying to connect to labels?
Mm.
Was that a sort of natural thing for you, or is there any advice that you'd give aspiring artists now? Like, how do you sort of get in touch and make those connections.
I mean, there's so much more stuff online now, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
I guess people are more contactable.
yeah.
Most people have got an email, or they will respond to a comment on a post.
Do
As
you
long as
find that
you're
you have people producers coming to you and approaching you on social media and trying to talk to
yeah,
you?
yeah, a bit, not loads. When I've had record labels in the past, probably a bit more when people want to send you demos and things.
Yeah,
Um, but then there's not quite like sort of face to face stuff. If there is a Toolroom put a night on, I mean, you got the Toolroom
yeah,
Academy. That's a
yeah. So get out there
perfect
and
way of
actually
doing it.
meet people face to face if you
Yeah, I
can.
mean that's how I sort of got my first sort of residencies.
Yeah,
Going to a club night every month and getting to know the people there, and you'll also make great friends out of it.
yeah,
It doesn't have to just be sort of a business sort of transaction.
yeah.
You'll meet amazing people. I would just go to it was this club in Oxford. That's why I've ended up in Oxford really.
Okay.
Because I was living in Reading. That's where my parents moved from Liverpool. There was nothing going on there, so yeah, just go to this place, and yeah, you just meet like-minded people. And I just go there on my own. Just drive down there once a month, mix CD in hand.
You've got to
Now
go for it,
now
right?
now it'd be USB stick or something, and
So you've got to go for it. You've got to go
yeah,
for it, even if it is a bit uncomfortable, like you said, on your own, or go
yeah.
travel out of where you live, but get out there, meet people, go to events. Yeah, 100%. It's what we're always saying, man.
Mm.
And then, all right, okay, really tough question to round us up, because it's one of them impossible ones. To be honest, I hate when people ask me like, "What's your favourite house record?" You've been really prolific as an artist, releasing over the years. If you could, if I forced you to pick one record that stands out as one of your favourites that you've ever made, could even be for personal reasons, let alone
Mm.
for its success. Could you name one? Could you name one record that really stands out as one of your
Um,
favourites that you've made? I mean,
I
perhaps something
think
from your you did your debut artist album, Hope, which
yeah.
we have sampler here behind you
There we go.
on vinyl.
I was well
Perhaps
chuffed
something
with
like
that.
that, as a whole piece of work, or
Yeah,
was there an individual record single that you've written that really
probably.
stands out?
I remember making the truth, and I'd. I mean, it's kind of like it is sort of a big sample,
Yeah,
um, with the beat under it, sort of, kind of, and then there's that, I've got a vocal over it. But that was, I remember making it, and the first version, I was like, "There's something in this," but it wasn't quite right,
yeah.
and I went back to it a couple more times, and I remember I'd nailed that final version, and I thought, "That's it, I've really done it," and I was proud of myself that I got to that point, because I don't always get to that point.
Yeah.
I'll I can have ideas, but they don't always come to fruition exactly. And loads of times I'll think there's more in there, but you don't always achieve. With that one, I really did, and it was really successful as
You
well.
did really
So
well.
yeah,
I remember hearing that on like on the radio, the mainstream radio, quite a bit as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
And interestingly, is that the one? I think the vocal is the vocal like from a sample pack.
yeah. It's
Because
been used loads,
yeah,
loads of times.
since you used that, 'cause that's going
Yeah,
back, that particular vocalist, you hear a lot
yeah,
of her vocals from sample packs on a lot of tracks now. It's amazing what you can get. But
yeah. Because
yeah,
I've with that vocal, people have messaged me, or say someone's played a track and it's got that vocal in. There's been comments on there going, "Oh, is this the remix of Friend Within the Truth?" So you
that's
can use these samples as long as use these samples on Splice, but just make it the best version. That's
yeah,
what you got to do.
just something totally different. Don't be afraid to
Yeah,
use them. I think
yeah,
even if you think that's been used a couple of years ago, and if it was something a bit different,
mm,
I think you can get away with it now.
yeah. I was
Right.
been really happy with Monkey Bars as well.
Yeah,
Because that got a lot of like DJ play.
yeah,
That was and you don't always in the sort of streaming era and things, and um you can get like a lot of streams
yeah.
online. The truth, there's quite a lot of streams, but probably not as much DJ play. But when I still am a DJ. I
Yeah,
would say I'm a DJ. Really, that's what I want to think
yeah.
of myself as.
So
And so
getting that
getting the
DJ
DJ
support
plays,
on Monkey
yeah,
Bars, yeah, it was massive as well.
it's good for the
That was
ego.
being played everywhere
Yeah,
as well. And I think the timing of that one, because
yeah.
when did that come out? Was that
In what year it was, but it was sort of start of the summer. So Ibiza was
yeah?
just
And
starting to
like
kick off.
and really, it was like probably like the first proper season
Yeah,
back after the whole shutdown and
yeah,
pandemic as well. I
yeah.
think to have such a sort of feel good club record, yeah, it did really well, didn't it? It was
Mm.
brilliant.
Yeah, we'd
Oh,
go for that.
awesome stuff, man. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Oh,
Having the
nice
time
chatting.
and digging. It's lovely to chat. Really,
Yeah.
really nice to chat. Hope you guys enjoyed that as well. Delving into Frame Within's history as well. A prolific producer. You've got a lot coming up as well, haven't you?
Hmm.
Very, very busy man. Very, very
Yes.
busy man.
Yeah. America, Mexico,
More music on
more
the way
tunes
as
coming.
well.
Yeah.
And Pilka out now, guys. Make sure you go and stream, download, play it in your sets. It's an absolute banger. Thanks again for joining us, man.
Cheers,
And
mate.
join us again for another interview here on Toolroom Academy YouTube channel.